At first, it looks like an ordinary prison room. Plain walls, a narrow bed bolted to the floor, a small window that never opens. Nothing about it says ending. But somewhere inside this building, time has already changed. 72 hours before an execution, the prison enters a quiet phase most people never hear about. There are no announcements, no countdown clocks. But behind closed doors, a system begins to tighten. Paperwork changes. Security shifts. People start watching more closely. From this moment on, the condemned person is never truly alone. They are moved closer to the execution area, not to the chamber itself, but near it. Lights stay on. Guards rotate more often. Every movement is observed, not out of fear, but procedure. Most people think the execution is the most important moment. It isn't. The final 3 days carry more power than the final minute ever could. During this time, the future disappears. There are no more years to imagine. No long plans. Only hours that stretch and shrink in strange ways. Sleep becomes difficult. The mind stays alert, listening for sounds that suddenly feel meaningful. Footsteps. Keys. Doors opening too slowly. The brain does this when it knows something irreversible is coming. Behind the scenes, legal teams make their final attempts. Emergency appeals are still allowed, but the rules are strict. New evidence must be serious. Errors must be clear. Courts remain open to listen, but barely. History shows that executions have been stopped hours, even minutes, before they happened. Most are not. Inside the prison, no one talks about these possibilities out loud. Hope exists, but it is fragile. Dangerous, even. Because hope this late can break a person faster than fear. Spiritual advisors are offered. Some inmates accept. Others refuse. Final meals may be requested, though not everyone eats. These choices are recorded carefully, not for memory, but for the record. By the second day, the prison grows unnaturally quiet. Guards speak less. Movements slow. Conversations stop when the condemned person is nearby. Everything now follows a written plan that has been reviewed many times. Medical staff begin closer monitoring, not to heal, but to confirm awareness. The law requires the person to understand what is happening. If they don't, the execution cannot continue. This rule has stopped executions before, so the system watches carefully. Visits may happen during this period. Family members, lawyers, clergy. These moments are short, controlled, and often painful. Words fail. Silence becomes common. People say, "I love you," because nothing else fits. Psychologists who have studied this phase say something unexpected often happens. Panic fades. Focus replaces it. The mind narrows its world to survive what it cannot escape. Time feels thick. Questions become simple. What time is it? What happens next? As night falls on the second day, tension rises again. This is the window when last-minute changes have happened in the past. Phones stay close. Officials sleep lightly. No one relaxes yet, because uncertainty still exists. By the final day, uncertainty begins to disappear. The condemned person is awakened early. Identity is confirmed. Medical and mental checks are repeated. Every step must be exact. Clothing is changed. Personal items are collected and logged. Witnesses begin arriving. Victims' families, media representatives, each escorted, briefed, and reminded of the rules. Executions are not hidden. They are regulated. Every witness exists to confirm that the process happened as ordered. As the hours pass, the building feels heavier. Even staff who have seen many executions describe this shift. Not sadness, not fear. Responsibility. Because once the final steps begin, nothing can stop them. Eventually, the time arrives. A door opens. The condemned person is told it is time. The walk is short. Guards walk beside them, not ahead or behind. This signals that the law still applies, even now. The execution chamber is clean, bright, and quiet. Smaller than most people expect. Witnesses sit behind glass. They can see, but not hear. Medical staff prepare. Equipment is checked one last time. Backup plans exist, not for mercy, but for completion. Before anything begins, the inmate may speak. Some apologize. Some deny guilt. Some say nothing at all. Silence, too, is recorded. Then a signal is given. Not dramatic. Not loud. Time becomes difficult to measure. Witnesses later struggle to describe what they saw, not because it was hidden, but because the mind resists holding it. Medical staff watch closely. Breathing slows. Movement fades. A final check is made. A time is spoken aloud. Recorded exactly. The sentence is complete. Witnesses are escorted out. Guards begin post-procedure duties. Reports are written. The chamber is cleaned. Families are notified. The prison exhales. Not relief. Not satisfaction. Just the end of waiting. This is why the final 72 hours matter more than most people realize. Because the execution is only the visible ending. The real story lives in the days before, when the law could still listen, when decisions still mattered, when stopping was still possible. Once the final step begins, the system no longer doubts. And doubt, in the end, is the last form of mercy the law allows. The second day does not announce itself. There is no sign on the wall, no voice over the speakers, but everyone inside the prison feels the shift. This is the point where time starts behaving strangely. For the condemned person, the night never really ended. Sleep came in short pieces, if it came at all. The body rested, but the mind stayed awake, listening, waiting, counting sounds without knowing why. Morning light slips through a narrow window that cannot be opened. The room looks the same as it always has, but it no longer feels neutral. Every detail now feels closer, sharper. This is not fear the way people imagine it. It is awareness. Guards begin moving earlier than usual. Their steps are quieter. Their voices lower. They do not explain why. They never do. But their behavior follows strict rules. Every interaction must be calm, neutral, documentable. This is not about kindness or cruelty. It is about control. During the final 48 hours, the prison enters a phase where nothing unnecessary is allowed. No casual talk. No joking. No mistakes. Because mistakes at this stage do not disappear. They become records. The condemned person notices everything. The sound of keys brushing metal. The pause before a guard speaks. The way doors close more gently than before. Psychologists who study death row say this is when the mind becomes highly alert. Not panicked, alert. Like it is standing near an edge, looking for movement. Because technically, something could still change. The law allows last-minute appeals during this period. They are rare, and they are difficult, but they exist. New evidence. Serious legal errors. Questions about mental competence. Courts remain open. Judges stay reachable. Governors' offices keep phones close. No one says it out loud, but everyone knows the same truth. If the execution is stopped now, it will happen suddenly. Inside the prison, the condemned person is not told if appeals are being filed. They are not told if phones are ringing or if lawyers are arguing in courtrooms. They are told nothing. This silence is intentional. Hope, this late, can be dangerous. It can raise the body's stress. It can cause panic. It can lead to physical collapse. And if the person becomes medically unfit, the execution cannot legally proceed. So the system avoids giving hope or despair. Medical staff increase observation quietly. Blood pressure, breathing, awareness. They are not there to treat. They are there to confirm that the person remains capable of understanding what is happening. This requirement is not symbolic. There have been executions stopped because the person no longer met this standard. So the system watches carefully. Visits may happen on this day. Family members arrive under strict rules. Time is limited. Conversations are monitored. Physical contact is controlled. These are not private moments in the way movies show them. But they are real, and they are often the hardest part. Parents struggle to speak. Children ask questions that have no safe answers. Some families argue. Others sit quietly, holding hands through glass. For the condemned person, these visits can feel unreal, like scenes from another life. Words feel too small. Silence feels heavy. Experts say this is when emotional narrowing begins. The mind reduces the world to survive it. Instead of fear, something else appears: focus. Thoughts slow down. Time stretches. The future disappears completely. There is only today, and then something unnamed after it. This is why inmates sometimes ask simple questions again and again. What time is it? What happens next? Not because they don't know, but because repeating the question makes time feel organized. As the day moves forward, preparations continue elsewhere in the prison. Witness lists are finalized. Media representatives are confirmed. Victims' family members are contacted again and reminded of what they will see. They are told the rules. No speaking, no movement, no interruption. Executions are not hidden from witnesses. They are structured around them. Every witness serves a purpose, not to judge, but to confirm that the sentence is carried out as ordered. As afternoon turns to evening, the prison tightens again. Doors are tested. Equipment is checked. Routes are reviewed. These steps are repeated, even though they have already been done. Because history has shown that many problems begin during preparation, not during the execution itself. Inside the cell, the condemned person feels the change. The building seems quieter. Even the air feels different. Guards speak less. Their movements become deliberate. This is often when a strange calm appears. Not peace, not acceptance, clarity. Psychologists believe this happens when the brain runs out of options. It stops fighting time and starts conserving energy. Panic fades. Emotions flatten. This calm does not mean the person is ready. It means the mind is protecting itself. If this part of the story feels heavier than you expected, pause and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think people understand what really happens before an execution, or only what happens at the end? As night falls on the second day, tension rises sharply. This is the most unpredictable window. In past cases, executions were delayed or stopped during these hours. Emergency calls, late-night court orders, governors reviewing files under pressure. Most of the time, nothing changes. But the possibility is real enough that no one relaxes. Guards remain alert. Phones stay charged. Officials sleep lightly. Inside the cell, the condemned person lies awake again, not thinking about death, but about time. How slow it feels. How fast it's moving. How strange it is to know the day, but not the minute. Because once the final day begins, uncertainty ends. And uncertainty, as painful as it is the last thing still holding the future open. The final day begins like any other. There is no announcement, no special sound, no visible signal that this morning is different from the ones before it. But inside the prison, everyone knows. The condemned person is awakened early. If they slept at all, it was light and broken. A guard speaks their name. Another confirms it. This is not coldness. It is procedure. From this point forward, identity must be verified again and again. The law demands certainty. Medical staff arrive quietly. Vital signs are checked. Awareness is observed. Simple questions may be asked, not to comfort, but to confirm understanding. The person must know what day it is. They must know where they are. They must know what is coming. If they do not, everything could stop. This requirement has halted executions before. That is why the system checks carefully. Not once, more than once. Meanwhile, behind sealed doors, final confirmations take place. Courts have already ruled. Appeals have been denied or exhausted. But phones remain nearby. Officials stay alert. Because history has taught them something uncomfortable. Even now, something could still change. There have been cases where orders arrived minutes before an execution. Cases where calls came too late. No one wants to be responsible for missing that call. Guards move with controlled precision. Not fast. Not slow. Exact. They check doors they have checked hundreds of times. They read instructions they already know. Because today, there is no room for assumptions. Inside the cell, the condemned person feels the shift. Time feels thicker now, heavier. The future has completely disappeared. There is no later, no after, only a narrowing present. This is when many people expect panic. But panic is rare. Instead, witnesses and psychologists describe something else: focus. A quiet intensity. The mind stops jumping ahead and stays where it is. Tunnel awareness. The brain does this to survive moments it cannot escape. A final visit may be allowed if time permits. Not guaranteed. Not long. Conversations are brief and tightly controlled. Words come out wrong. Some things are never said. Some people cry. Some say nothing. Some apologize. Some listen. When the visit ends, it ends completely. There are no second chances. As the morning moves forward, the prison changes again. Witnesses begin arriving. Victims' family members are escorted to private rooms. Media witnesses are checked in, identified, and reminded of the rules. No talking. No gestures. No interruptions. They are there to observe, not react. Executions are one of the few acts where the state allows outsiders inside. Not to make a statement, but to verify. To say later, this is what happened. As the day moves on, the condemned person is prepared. Clothing is changed to something clean and simple. Personal items are collected and logged. Jewelry, letters, small objects, each item recorded carefully. This attention to detail may seem strange, but executions are among the most reviewed events in the justice system. Years later, every step may be examined, every decision questioned. Nothing can be missing. At some point, the person is informed of the time window, not the exact minute, just the range. This is when reality becomes unavoidable. There is no more waiting for news. No more what if. The schedule is set. This knowledge affects people differently. Some ask questions. Some grow quiet. Some stare at nothing at all. Final statements are discussed. In many states, the condemned person is allowed to speak at the end. This is optional. Not everyone chooses to. The popular image of dramatic last words is misleading. In reality, many final statements are short. I'm sorry. I love you. I didn't do it. And sometimes, nothing. Silence is allowed. Elsewhere, the execution chamber is ready. Not active. Ready. Clean. Bright. Controlled. Smaller than most people imagine. Equipment is checked again. Backup systems are in place. Not for mercy, for certainty. As afternoon turns to evening, the entire building seems to slow down. Conversations shorten. Movements become careful. Even experienced staff describe this part as heavy. Not because of emotion, but because responsibility has fully arrived. Once the next step begins, there is no turning back. If this moment feels unsettling, pause for a second and let us know in the comments. Do you think the public truly understands what happens on the final day, or is most of this kept out of sight? As the hour approaches, the condemned person waits. Not in darkness, not in chaos, in stillness. Guards take their positions. Doors are unlocked in a specific order. Routes are cleared. Everything follows a sequence designed to avoid error. Then, finally, a door opens. The person is told it is time. The words are simple. They have to be. There is no rush. No force unless necessary. Guards walk beside the condemned person, not behind or ahead. This signals that the law still applies, even now. The walk is short. Shorter than people expect. Witnesses are already seated behind glass. They can see into the room, but they cannot hear what is said inside. This distance is intentional. Observation without participation. Inside the chamber, positions are taken. Medical staff step forward. The person is guided carefully, deliberately. Every movement has been planned. And yet, this moment has never truly happened before. Because no matter how many times the system rehearses, this walk is always new. The room grows quiet. The final phase is about to begin. But the story does not end here. Because what happens next is not just about procedure. It is about what remains when time, law, and humanity finally collide. The final steps begin quietly. There is no countdown, no dramatic signal, only movement. The condemned person is guided into the room. The space is smaller than most people imagine. Clean, bright, controlled. Everything here is designed to reduce unpredictability. Witnesses sit behind thick glass. They can see clearly, but they cannot hear what is said inside. This separation is intentional. It creates distance between observation and involvement. Guards guide the person into position. Not roughly, not gently, precisely. Every action follows training that has been practiced many times. Restraints are applied, not as punishment, but as protocol. The law requires the body to remain still to prevent injury or error. Medical staff step forward. Their role is narrow and specific. They do not make decisions. They do not express opinions. They observe and confirm. If lethal injection is used, lines are placed carefully. This moment has caused problems in the past. Veins can collapse. Access can fail. That is why backup plans exist. Not to stop the process, to finish it. Before anything begins, the condemned person is given one final opportunity to speak. This moment is not for drama. It is not for closure. It exists for the record. Some people apologize. Some deny guilt. Some speak to family members who cannot hear them. Some choose silence. Whatever is said, or not said, is written down later, word for word. When the moment ends, a signal is given. Small, controlled. From this point on, everything moves forward. Witnesses describe this phase differently. Some say time slows down. Others say it disappears. The brain struggles to measure what it is seeing. Medical staff watch breathing, movement, responsiveness. If anything unexpected occurs, procedures allow for assessment, but not reconsideration. That choice has already been made. Eventually, movement stops. Breathing fades. A final check is performed, more than once. Then a sentence is spoken aloud. The person is pronounced dead. The exact time is recorded, not symbolically. Exactly. This moment ends the sentence. But it does not end the process. Witnesses are escorted out quietly. Some leave without speaking. Others cry. Some say nothing for hours or days afterward. Victims' family members react in different ways. For some, it brings a sense of finality. For others, it raises new questions they did not expect. The system does not promise closure, only completion. Inside the prison, staff begin post-procedure duties immediately. Equipment is shut down. Reports are started. Every step is documented. The execution chamber is cleaned. This detail unsettles many people when they learn it. But from the system's perspective, the room must return to neutral, ready for inspection, ready for review. The body is handled according to law. Families are notified. Arrangements are made. Outside the prison, news spreads quickly. Headlines appear. Statements are released. Officials confirm that the sentence was carried out. Public reaction follows familiar patterns. Some express approval. Others protest. Many argue online without ever knowing what happened inside. What rarely gets discussed is what this moment does to the people who carried it out. Guards, medical observers, administrators. Studies show that repeated exposure to executions affects staff in quiet ways. Sleep problems, emotional distancing, long-term stress. These effects are rarely addressed publicly because the system focuses on legality, not aftermath. In the hours that follow, something changes inside the prison. The tension that built for days finally releases. Not as relief, not as celebration, as stillness. For years, sometimes decades, this execution existed as a future event, a date circled in files, a possibility that shaped daily routines. Now it is over. And yet, questions remain. Was the process flawless? Were all safeguards respected? Could anything have changed earlier? These questions do not disappear with the body. They move outward, into courts, media, families, and memory. This is why the final 72 hours matter more than most people realize. Because the execution itself is only the final act. The real power lives in the days before, when the law can still pause, when uncertainty still exists, when stopping is still possible. Once the final steps begin, the system no longer listens. That is not an opinion. It is written into procedure. Some executions are remembered because something went wrong, others because something almost changed. But all of them share one truth. The last 3 days carry more weight than the last 3 minutes. Because in those hours, the law is still alive, still capable of doubt, still capable of restraint. Once that window closes, only records remain. And records do not feel regret. This is where the story ends. Not with answers, not with closure, but with a clearer understanding of what happens when time, law, and life collide, and why the final 72 hours matter far more than we are usually told.